Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of communication at High Point University. Continuing a series of videos about coloring a little character, which you can use to create a character board with. If you'd like, I've got a fairly complex system going on here. Got my color palette. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at that narwhal image because they're kind of splotchy if you realize that. So I want to kind of recreate these splotches. And what I'll notice is, I think for some of them, let's kind of look at some more narwhals. It looks like they're white blotchy. They have splotches of light on their backs and splotches of darks on their tummies. Right? So they're kind of flip-flopped. So the next thing I want to do is just use a Photoshop brush to kind of set that up properly. So I'm going to use white splotches in the back and dark splotches on the tummy. Let's see if we can do that. So that's why I have this fourth lightest color here. And the thing I'm going to do first, though, is hit B and kind of look. I'm going to need to add another highlight. So I'm going to add speckle highlight on top of everything, and that's going to go on the back. And then I'm going to add on top of that, whoops, not that, speckled darks, or draks. It's speckled darks. There we go. So let me go to the speckle highlight, and I am going to find a better brush. Now, I'm not really keen on these. Like, I don't know why some of my other brushes are not available. Is there any reason why my brushes are not available? Not sure. I'm going to try this one. I tried this earlier today. It did not work. Let's try it. Okay. No, that doesn't want me to do it. So let's see how this looks. I'm just going to paint using this. Yep, not amazing. I actually need a slightly looser one. Let me try this impressionist one. Oops, let me try this up here. That is a smudger, not a brush. Let's see. This is unfortunate. I really need a pastel brush. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna build a brush. Alright? I'm gonna build a brush with some images of narwhals. Let's try that. I'm going to copy this image and I'm gonna paste it into this Photoshop. And drag this up to the top. Here we go. I am going to zoom in here. And I'm going to just turn off everything but this. Here we go. There we go. And I'm going to select that much. So what I'm going to do, I have a selection based on the narwhal pattern. I created a new layer with that selection still enabled even though I turned everything off. I'm going to fill that selection with black. Okay. Actually going to reverse that, so I'm going to hit Control Z and I'm going to select the magic wand again, right-click, say Invert Selection, or Select Inverse. Now I'm going to fill that with black. Now I have some things here that I'm actually going to take. But in order to do that, I'm going to hit Control D to deselect, use my eraser. Yeah, erase all of this. Good. I didn't realize I filled all of this with black. And from there, I'm going to duplicate. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to duplicate it, but I'll do it the fun way. Use the Select tool, hold down Alt, and kind of do that. Maybe rotate this around. Kind of make this a little bit nicer. And from there, I'm going to create a circle. I'm going to move it up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is turn this into my brush. I think that might do a good speckle. I'm going to hit Edit. Define brush preset. There's my brush preset, and I'm going to call this Narwhal 01. Let's see if that works. A little bit. I like it. Let's try it. All right. I don't know if this is going to work, guys. I'll deal with those later. All right. So if I have my speckled brush, speckled highlights, what I'm going to do is turn opacity down, and I'm going to set my brush settings to size, jitter, minimum diameter. Let's scatter this around. And let's see what that looks like. Yes. It's not terrible. I don't love it. So there's a little bit of it. And I think the most important part was the scatter and the shape dynamics. And what I'm also going to do is increase that opacity to 52. There. And the other thing I'm going to do is now erase from that. I'm not really loving. There we go. I'm going to turn this into a slightly small, there we go, feathered edge brush. The other thing I'm going to do is turn my eraser down opacity. And that way I can slowly change this. There we go, that. And I'm going to set now my speckle dark. I'm going to use the same speckles, but I'm going to use a dark speckle now. And I'm going to paint that and then erase that. Actually, I'm going to probably choose a slightly darker blue. There we go. Make this a little bit bigger. There's that. And now I will erase from that as well. And that gives me a little bit of speckle on there. That was 9 minutes. From there, there's a couple key features that really need to happen. And number one, I really need to highlight this face. So I am going to go back to a normal brush. and really paint on a light face. In fact, this should work. I want that face to be kind of light. And specifically, I'm going to add a layer above speckles with a hard edge so that I can, and I'm going to give myself a white so I can like paint the eye. Of course, make that opacity to 100. And I'm going to do the same thing with a nice little red tongue color, probably too red. Here we go. That's still probably too red, but you know what? Let's see what happens. And then, of course, I would have to fill in this sandwich. And you know what? Just for fun, I am going to, just to make sure no one thinks I'm painting the sandwich blue, I'm going to go paint this white, just so people know that still has to be painted. Of course, I'm going to erase. Oops. Make that a hard brush with 100% opacity. There's probably better ways to go about erasing this. I am being extremely lazy in a bad way. And we'll just do that, do that. And we'll paint the sandwich another day. All right. So I'm going to turn this off. Turn off the palette. And I am going to exit out of here. Obviously save it. And the point is, now I've got a little narwhal here. And it has, you know, some highlights. It has some darks to it. I'd probably go ahead and clean those up a little bit. It's got some patterns to it using specific brushes. And if I want to, I can do this any number of ways. I could either, on this top layer, go to an adjustment, go to a hue saturation, apply a hue saturation only to the narwhal by clicking the clip layers button, and slightly change the color of the narwhal if I want to. Increase the saturation, decrease saturation, and of course lighten or color or darken it. I could do that. I'm going to turn that off now. Or I could even go in here and say, you know what? I really need to change the dark settings to these. So I'm going to add an adjustment layer, a hue saturation that I'm just going to apply to the dark layers, and I can change the saturation, lightness, darkness of those darks, right? And I can do that for any layer I want. So it's up to you how you do this, how you organize your work. I'm going to delete all of these from the brushes because they are not helping me. And all of the palettes I can turn off and on again. But that is essentially how I ended up creating this particular one. Like you can see, I have my little brushes here with a slightly different, obviously, but that's essentially what I did. It's the same techniques to color an image. And basically in this image, every single one of these is their own layer, actually. So good luck with using color in Photoshop. I hope you have a good time. Bye!